Jules. We are back with another week of Jewel TV. I hope everyone has had a lovely, lovely week thus far. I have definitely had a good week, and I am back today with a little story time. So last video, go check it out if y'all have not already. Last week I did my first live. I went on Facebook Live, and that's probably like, well, everybody does that, but it's different for me. I don't do that. And I did it last week, and it was so fun engaging with you guys. It was so fun just hearing feedback live on the topic at hand. And I had my husband as my guest and it was fun. So go check out that video when you get a chance. But this video, I'm gonna be sharing a story, my story, about how I escaped my abusive relationship. And yeah, so let's get into it.
A few moments later.
So when it comes to my relationship previously, I tried to get out several times, and I think I stated this in previous videos, but times I tried to leave, my abuser would either cry, he would threaten to commit suicide, he would just do the utmost obscene things, cause a scene out in public. He would stalk me, the whole nine. It was just very hard to get away from him. And but to my rescue was the justice system. At one point, I was like, okay, enough is enough. I did what I was afraid to do before. And that was make police reports of every incident that happened. So at this time, I started making police reports. He was stalking me. He was threatening my family. If I had any type of physical contact with him, he would try to hit me or try to vandalize my things, try to break my belongings, this, that, and the third. So I started making police reports, and I started literally every time, and I would go straight to the precinct and I would make a report just so I would have a record and have a record on these things, everything that was going on. Like, I'm not crazy. This man is like he's losing his mind, and I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. And so once I got over the fear of actually going to police and reporting this thing, because I did once have a fear, because I was like, me making a report is just gonna make him angrier, and it did. And I every time I just made a new report. So later down the road, that worked out for my favor. Now, you go and make a complaint on somebody, or if it's a domestic abuse or anything like that, you get an order of protection. So when I got an order of protection, I couldn't care less, because I was just like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, I was supposed to hold up the paper when he decides to like come towards me and be like, stop, I have an order of protection. Like, what I'm gonna do with this? But it did later work out for my favor, because with the order of protection in place, the next time I went to the precinct and reported an incident, it was a violation of that protection. So that was another charge against him. So I'm doing these things, and I'm dealing with so much, like literally harassment, literally running up to my car, punching my windshield, stalking me outside my house, calling my phone over and over again. It just was not a good time. It was a very scary time, because I was really, at this point, in fear for my life, because I'm like, what does this man have to lose at this point? Like, he really doesn't care about life, and he's doing everything he can to make mine miserable. So one day he got arrested on one of my charges. So he eventually, he was previously on parole, or he was on parole at that time when I'm making this report. So that was a violation against his parole, because when you're out on parole, you're not supposed to have any police contact, any reports made on you. So it violated his parole. So his parole officer sent out a warrant for his arrest, and they were his arrest charge was one of the charges that, you know, lead to stalking or, you know, abuse, whatever the case may be, or violating the order of protection. So he finally got picked up, and it was violation of parole. So, you know, at the time I was like, okay, you know, I have a little breathing room, because usually if you get arrested, and he's been in and out of jail, he was in and out of jail, so I was just like, he's just gonna be gone for three months, and they're gonna let him back out, because that's usually how the system works. They keep him for a couple months, and then they let him back out on parole and say, hey, let's try again. So, you know, it was just like, okay, whatever, like, you know, he's gonna be back out. But this particular time when they picked him up and they ran his fingerprints, they tied his fingerprints to a burglary that happened in our area. And so he ended up getting 5 years instead of 3 months. He was put to jail and sent to prison for 5 years. And at that time, I said, okay, because he's been in jail before where I still had contact with him. You know, he was arrested on previous things, nothing to do with me, but I was in contact. I would answer his phone calls. I would write him letters. I would still be in contact with him. But this particular time, I said, absolutely not. So he would call and he would play the, oh, you know, you're going to send me money, you're going to do that. Eventually, I stopped answering all his calls, changed my number, everything. Like, that all the letters were coming to my house, ignoring the letters, not writing back, not really caring about anything. And that was my first step to moving on from that relationship and like escaping, if you will. So by the grace of God, I look at it as God being in my favor, gave me that breather to finally, okay, Janae, now you have a choice to make. Are you going to still keep contact with this person, or are you going to pull back and try to start a new life now? And so that's what I did. I pulled back. I didn't have any contact. I blocked numbers. Like I said, I wasn't answering letters. And that's how I got out. Now, he didn't stop, you know, harassing. He didn't stop, you know, until maybe a year in, a couple years, when he realized, okay, Janae is just like she's not biting, she's not falling for any of this, not answering my calls. He would send people and be like, can you please go stop by, tell her that, you know, I'm trying to get in. I just like, no, I don't care, I'm moving on. And that is how I escaped. Me finally making up the decision, making the best decision for myself and my daughter, to just cut all ties. Like, everything that he was doing was toxic. It wasn't safe. It wasn't safe for me and my child. So yeah, he went to jail and I moved on with my life. And it was great. It was great. I felt free. I wasn't living in fear at the time anymore. I was just like, okay, this is my time to get myself and, you know, gathered up and just forget about everything that went on. So that's how I escaped. It was really the grace of God. It was the justice system, like, coming in and doing what they do. And it was me making the decision to not fall for any of his manipulative ways, any of those phone calls, like I said, any of all that stuff. It was my decision not to fall for that. And, you know, him being away for a long time gave me extra courage. Just like, okay, I'm not doing this for 5 years. I'm not going back. I'm not answering phone calls and going back and forth with you. So that's how I was able to get out of that relationship for good and move on. Now, when the 5 years was over, that's a different story, because of course he came out and he was looking for me. But I'll share that in another video and what happened next after that. Like I said, you guys, I am re-releasing my book, which all of these stories are in the book. Some are not, that I'm sharing are not in the book, but I'm re-releasing. I'll have a bonus chapter in there. And so be on the lookout for that in November. And I will come back with another video sharing what happened next, because it was some more action that I had to do on my part, and my life was completely changed when that 5 years was over. So then I had to make moves for not only myself, but some other people that were attached to me. So, but we'll get into that, and we'll do another story time. I'll get into that of what happened next when he came out, because it was very interesting. It's very interesting, and it was very life-changing decision that I had to make. That all ended up working out for the kids. So, with that being said, that's a wrap up for story time. My advice to anybody out there: don't be afraid of. I know we look at the system and we're like, it's not made for us. It's not made to protect us. They just gonna give us this paper. That's not gonna help. But at the end of the day, it worked out for me. Making those police reports worked out for me. Having the order of protection later worked out for me, because he was arrested on those charges. But then I looked up and he was tied to something deeper that I didn't even know that he did. And it worked out in my favor, and that's how I was able to be free. So that's it for story time. Please like and subscribe and share these videos. I will be back next week with another video of Jewel TV. Y'all have a lovely and blessed day.